vibes. And it's a little late in the day, but that's okay because we don't need to take life that seriously. In any case, I am really feeling like, I mean, because it's so late in the day, that I'm already seeing this definite pattern that has been emerging, which is very much the breaking the game. It's funny because, I mean, I'm still seeing a lot of Clash of the Titans stuff coming up, both metaphors, the term itself, things like that, and also this let the games begin sort of thing. But it seems like, I mean, like if you took the Olympics and you were just to completely break all the games in it just so that you could completely rearrange them and make completely new games, that's kind of what it feels like is happening energetically. And wow, it's funny. Another just more downloads coming in towards us. So what it reminds me of actually is something that I listened to a few days ago by a comedian named Hannah Gatsby, and she is a autistic lesbian comedian who is just freaking brilliant with her material. And she did a TED talk talking about how, like, I mean, because of her autism, she's not great at communicating. She's not good at speaking. She freezes up all the time, does things like that. But then how can she be, she talked about contradictions, which feels like another big energy of like, how can she both be a fantastic, successful comedian and a really poor communicator? And it feels like that contradiction energy is there. But more importantly, she talked about, it's funny, you'll have to go and watch it. It's on YouTube. Just look for Hannah Gatsby's TED Talk. But a short piece of it, I think, is relevant for not well for today's energy, and I think for the Dragon's Gate energy in general, is this feeling of like she got into comedy, she learned it, she learned all the rules, she memorized it, she did it, and she did pretty good for being a newbie, and then she quit it. But she didn't really quit it. Instead, she did like a what do you call it, a web show. And it's funny because she had people that criticized it a lot, that it wasn't, oh, what is it? It wasn't good comedy. But then she made this really brilliant point that no, it wasn't that it was bad comedy, because in order to make bad comedy, you have to know all the rules of comedy in order to do that. And what she actually did was she intentionally went and broke comedy so that she could kind of like, I did a Divine Nugget earlier that was kind of talking about it. Like, you take all the pieces and you're like a toddler, kind of like, what do I want to do with this? Like, there's no rules at that point. You've broken the game, right? And I'm hearing crack the code too. Like, you cracked the code, or you broke the game, which helped you crack the code, and now you're at this place of where, well, we're all collectively at this place of like, how do we want to put it back together? And it feels like that's the main energy of today and the vibes. Like, it feels like it fits in with all things. We're looking at contradictions of things, so inconsistencies, but how both can be true. That, like, I don't know, there's just so many things coming in. I think it goes to each person in each place and where it fits in your life. But I know that everybody in some sort of way is, breaking the game. And maybe you let your kids set up Easter eggs for the adults this year. Maybe you change the way that you approach conversations with certain people. Maybe you change the way that you do the dishes. Maybe you're doing them backwards. Maybe you're learning a guitar song backwards and then you switch the verse and the chorus. Or maybe you switch out one with a completely different chorus or a whole different genre. I don't know. Like, maybe there's all sorts of different ways that it seems like we're all in that energy. And it feels like that's definitely a big theme coming in with Mercury in Aries, is like breaking the game. I'm kind of reminded, it's the song breaking the law, but it's not, it doesn't feel like law. It's breaking the game, breaking the game. But I mean, in a way, you could think about it like, if we oftentimes consider laws to be rules or rules to be laws. And so it kind of feels like this energy of, we're we're taking the old rule books and we're like tearing the pages out, and maybe we're like pouring a bunch of white out on them and we're deciding to use them to make tree art. I don't know, but it's completely taking what we've known as the game, which, that could be it feels like it's going to be like a little bit in each area of our lives, but it could be like relationships, business, family, things like that. And we're it's not that we're going upstream or against the current. We're actually going with the current. We're going with the path of least resistance. But you might experience some resistance mentally just because you know that it's not the way that you normally do things. Or I guess there's kind of this, I feel kind of this chest tightness in terms of like, what will other people think kind of energy. And I do want to say, I think it's mostly coming from the Divine Masculine collective, but I think on both sides is like what will I think of myself? What will others think of me? What if I do this big thing? There's a lot of Fool energy, very Aries energy, taking leaps of faith, trying new things, doing old things that we used to do, but in new ways, doing things that, like, kind of recognizing that there are times when we may have done something in the past and it was an inappropriate thing to do. Maybe it's actually appropriate now, or maybe because it's with a different person, it works better or differently, you know? I don't know. Kind of feels like this energy of like a bunch of wild Mustangs and mares inside a pen, and they're all like pushing out at the fences because the gate's not open, and they want to push it open. And they're ready to break the fence so that there is freedom, so there isn't anything holding us in. I think I'm going to leave this daily nugget here, and maybe I'll do some other readings later that kind of speak more to this energy. But if you're feeling this, or you know someone around you who's feeling this, feel free to put it in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.